All right. Just going to have a look at this video today. This is by D All the Way G. Titled Why the Midway MK Community is Alive and Ready for MK Legacy Collection. Let's check it out.
Going on, my family? Your boy Demetrius is back, and we are going to talk about Mortal Kombat, the classic Legacy Collection, and of course, things that are going on when it comes to the Mortal Kombat community. And here's the thing, it was a day ago that on Twitter, someone actually asked that was the Mortal Kombat scene dead? And I responded by saying that the Midway Mortal Kombat scene is alive and well and kicking, and they are ready to kick ass right now. But as far as the NRS Mortal Kombat scene, that community is dead, and that community can stay dead and stay gone. But I'm gonna get into that in a minute, because like I said,
Well, I mean, every community, as far as I'm concerned, just can fuck off. I have seen no different in behaviors on what I would consider the better side of the community. Not all, of course, but like I know that it's like some me and the boys have been chatting in Discord for a while now. How there's been a certain it seems like there's certain well, let's just say it, certain people in the community that just I don't know, there's just fucking they may as well, when you see that they are also fans of their NRS games, ha, yeah, there we go. I just pieced it together. The fact that these very same people like playing the NRS games also proves my point that yeah, they, it's just I don't know. I don't know. I have outside of my own community, I just don't give a fuck anymore.
there's a lot of things that I want to discuss when it comes to this whole situation, when it comes to Mortal Kombat as a whole. Now, y'all have to excuse me. I do look like shit right now, but I have been sick over the last week and a half or so, but I'm getting my voice back, and that's all that matters right now. So, we're going to get on with this, like I said, because there is some things that I do want to discuss when it comes to this situation, when it comes to Mortal Kombat. Now, when I said that on Twitter, a lot of people were kind of, raising eyebrows like, how are there two different communities? Isn't Mortal Kombat the same game that it's always been? And here's my thing about it. Yes, there's always been two different communities. There's always been the classic Midway Mortal Kombat community, and there's always been the NRS Mortal Kombat community. And if y'all want to be all the way real with it, Mortal Kombat 9 is a Midway game. Even though it's made by NRS, it's a Midway game.
Yep. I mean, this is was confirmed by Title MK years ago. That the reason why MK9 feels so good is because it was being developed under Midway as a Midway team. But technically, there's three communities here. There's the 2D community, there's the 3D community, and then the NRS community. So, and the reason why the 3D community, right, never got a 3D game again, is because after the break from Armageddon, yeah, we got MK versus DC was whatever, right? And then MK9 came out. MK9 was them looking all the way back to the 2D era and going, that's where we were strongest. That is our strength. That is our heritage. That is our homeland, right? And that's why MK9 was such a success, because they actually stopped and thought, okay, we need to make something that is going to be as memorable as those 2D games.
Everything after Mortal Kombat 9 has been unacceptable. But we're going to start with Mortal Kombat and the classic Midway Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Now, everybody knows the Legacy Collection is only about 10 days away. A lot of people are going to be playing it like crazy. The Midway, the classic Midway Mortal Kombat community are going to come out and they're going to be playing it like crazy. I expect a lot of great things to happen when it comes to the Legacy Collection. I expect a lot of things like tournaments. I don't know if TNS is going to let Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection be a part of that, because we haven't really seen Mortal Kombat a part of TNS ever. At least I haven't. But I expect the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection to do some great things as far as tournaments and stuff like that. You feel what I'm saying? And like I said, I had explained on Twitter how the Midway classic Mortal Kombat community is still alive and kicking. Those people are ready. I consider myself as part of the classic Midway Mortal Kombat community because I stand behind the classic Mortal Kombat games. The classic Mortal Kombat games, basically the Mortal Kombat games that y'all see in the Legacy Collection, along with a few others. Mortal Kombat Gold, but of course, we're not getting Mortal Kombat Gold, which is kind of fucked up, but it is what it is at this point. We got to be grateful for what we're getting. Now, here's the thing about it. One thing that I have been seeing when it comes to Mortal Kombat, I've been seeing a lot of people make videos on how the current NRS Mortal Kombat can be fixed. I know MK Tom Brady made a video on it. A couple of other guys have made a video on it, how they can fix the NRS Mortal Kombat. I'm going to tell y'all motherfuckers right now, it does not fucking matter. The NRS Mortal Kombat cannot be fixed. And let me tell you why. They can pitch a perfect game when it comes to these NRS Mortal Kombat games. Guess what? We're not going to accept it. The reason that we're not going to accept it because we're not going to accept the bullshit and the additions that they keep putting in these NRS Mortal Kombat games. We're not going to accept it. We don't need it. This is the reason why people are waiting on the Classic Legacy Collection to come out. We want classic button Mortal Kombat. We want classic characters, classic special moves. We don't want all of those fucking systems rolled up in one ball of shit when we playing these video games. You feel what I'm saying? And
less is more. Less is more. I've been saying that forever, right? If they want the Mortal Kombat community from the Legacy era to come back and support the new shit, they have to revert to everything. Because if every other fighting game can retain its legacy, except maybe Tekken 8, which is basically kind of, I don't know if maybe Tekken 8 or the Tekken series was trying to differentiate itself into some sort of new type of fighter versus what it used to be. So then you get a fracture there. They've literally got a fracture in their community between old school Tekken and, of course, new Tekken, which sucks. It shouldn't be like that. But pretty much most other fighting games have retained a legacy where they've even kept the same button layouts, right? And they might have like varying small systems that they add in there. But ultimately, if you played as Ryu in Street Fighter 2 and you picked up Street Fighter 6, you know exactly how to do his Hadouken, his Shoryuken, his Hurricane Kick. You know how to do all that stuff. And then outside of that is when you start to figure out, the bits and pieces that are specific to the game. And we didn't have that. We haven't had that in MK for a really long time. Now, in saying that, though, people that play on PC, we've had access, and on even on a tablet or a smartphone, we've had access to emulation and this sort of thing for a long time. We've been able to play MK games online for a long time. But this is a commercial release. So we're actually getting a proper retail release of these games. And I do agree about MK Gold. The more it sits with me, the more it annoys the piss out of me, right? Because, this is the Legacy Collection. This is supposed to bookend the entire 2D or the Legacy era of MK before the 3D era. So I really hope, after release, I really, really hope that we get some news about Gold or something like that, right? Because, it just seems really strange not to have it in there. Not to mention not even having a home version of MK4 where we actually got arcade endings, like proper arcade endings for MK4 that was put into the PS1 version.
And that's what's going on when it comes to these NRS Mortal Kombat games. And that is why the Mortal Kombat veterans are not accepting these NRS games, and they're not going to accept it. It don't matter if it's Mortal Kombat 12, Mortal Kombat 13. Guess what? It's going to have the same outcome as Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 11, because you know why? Because we are not going to accept it. We're not going to accept it. So when people are making these videos on how Mortal Kombat can be fixed, I've made a video on it, but I've done a lot of thinking about it. Look, the NRS Mortal Kombat games, they can't be fixed. They can't be fixed because we're not going to accept them. How do you fix something if the people don't accept it? And rightfully so. I'm never going to accept these NRS Mortal Kombat games again. Like I said, Mortal Kombat doesn't need all this extracurricular bullshit. Mortal Kombat does not need flawless blocks. Mortal Kombat does not need super move, fatal blows, and all of that crap. Mortal Kombat is a game that never needed that. Mortal Kombat was a simple game that we picked up, we played, we do our moves, we do the fatalities, and we were satisfied. It didn't even matter if...
Yeah, so the closest that we got to essentially a super move in classic MK was Aggressor and Trilogy. That's the closest that we got, right? And that's like, I mean, that shit's tepid. Like that is tap water tepid, right? It wasn't some big super move that we did. So yeah, like, you know, and the fatalities, doing a fatality in on itself was its own move because you only had like what, a second, maybe, to do it. And you know, you had to get that shit out real quick. Otherwise you'd miss the window. Right? You didn't have like 1,000 years like we do in the current games because they wanna people will get upset and they won't do it. Well, your fucking fatalities take too long anyway. At least in the old ones, they're quick, they're sharp, they're just boom, done. And that's it. You can get through so many fights in classic 2D games versus the current ones in the same time frame. It's ridiculous because everything moves so fast and ends so fast and moves on so fast.
If we lost, that was the whole point of Mortal Kombat. Why the fuck does Mortal Kombat need super moves? Why the hell did they put super moves in Mortal Kombat? Mortal Kombat never needed super moves. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, to be fair, man, like the reason why they did it is the same reason why they did the 3D era, because they were trying to compete in the market with other 3D fighters. You know, we had Virtual Fighter, Soul Calibur, Tekken. You know, Dead or Alive. Like they needed, like I don't agree with it, right? I mean, outside of the actual combat, I like the 3D era games, but the combat is ass compared to the 2D, right? Music's great, but they did that to compete because they felt like if they didn't do it, they had to be relevant. And even Street Fighter got into it slightly with the Akira series of Street Fighter EX 1, 2, and 3. You know, where they had 3D model characters, but they still moved in a 2D plane though. That's the interesting part. But they changed some things like Ryu's Hurricane Kick. Like you actually had to do like each movement separately. So they were mixing things up a bit with the Akira series, the Rika series. Akira series, Rika is too much fucking anime. Old brain there. The Eureka series. So, you know, but Street Fighter generally stayed in the 2D fighting space, even if they started, you know, delving into 3D models. At least with that series. But yeah, I mean, you know, outside of that, you know, they probably felt like they had to do it. And then of course going down the track where almost every single fighting game had some sort of like super ability. That's when they started adding it in. They added in I correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I can't remember if MK vs DC had it. I think it did, but I could be wrong. But but MK9 definitely did. Right? Now I like X-rays. I like the X-ray type of thing that we got in MK9. However, what I would do is just make it just a standard move, perhaps, you know, or make it slightly difficult move to do. But remember in MK4 where you had two throws, you had a standard throw and you had a bone breaking throw. Well, you take the bone breaking throw, you transform that into an X-ray, right? So that way, you know, when they do the move, you know, you actually see the X-ray of the arm breaking, but it's really fast, really quick. Doesn't go on for a sequence, even like it does in MK9, right? But it's a little bit more difficult to do. And problem solved. Then you don't have to have a super meter in there. You can take out that cool feature and apply it as a standard, slightly difficult move to execute and get rid of that completely.
Talking about right there. That's what I'm saying, that we're not going to accept these NRS games. Mortal Kombat is a fighting game that does not need super moves. Mortal Kombat is a fighting game that does not need some dumb system like the cameo system or nothing like that. Mortal Kombat doesn't need nothing like that. And it's painfully obvious that those assholes at NRS are going to come up with some more fraudulent, fabricated shit to throw at us to make us think that, okay, Mortal Kombat has changed, Mortal Kombat is back, but guess what? People are smart nowadays. And the thing about it is, when the next Mortal Kombat game is going to come out, it's going to be another disappointment. Because only if NRS get their heads out of their asses and take Mortal Kombat back to its traditional roots, like the Legacy Collection, That is the only way Mortal Kombat will be fixed.
I don't think MK can be fixed unless like the core is rotten. So let's get rid of the core, right? It's as simple as that. You know, I've seen more excitement out of Digital Eclipse and Steven over there about the classic MK games than I do Ed Boon, right? And now we don't have Dan Forden a part of NRS anymore, right? Probably drove that dude to fucking retire, right? So you know, like what the identity and the things that really made MK, which is Tobias, and Tobias with his vision and design, Dan with his sound and music. Ed Boon's just a programmer, right? He and his brother, they're just programmers. That's what they did, right? Very good programmers for what they did, but again, still programmers. They're not designers. They're not visionaries like they're not artists like John and Dan are.
NRS do it? Of course they can. Are they going to do it? More than likely, I don't know, because Warner Brothers is still pulling the strings, so we don't know. Dan Forden is gone. So right there, that's not good for when it comes to the future of Mortal Kombat. When one of the biggest faces of Mortal Kombat is gone, now Tobias is gone, Dan Forden is gone. That's not a good look for Mortal Kombat when it comes to the future, when people are saying, how can Mortal Kombat be fixed? It can't. It can't right now. The only way that Mortal Kombat be fixed, if they take it back to the traditional roots, like Mortal Kombat was back in the old days, when it came to the Mortal Kombat original trilogy, or they can go back to the 3D Mortal Kombat. They got to do something like that. And if NRS continues to throw this cameo shit into it, they're going to continue to get the same result when it comes to these NRS Mortal Kombat games. That's what I have to say about that. And that's just the honest to God truth. I know people will sit up here and say, well, Mortal Kombat needs to do this, NRS needs to do that. It don't matter. We're not going to accept it. It don't matter what they're going to do. We're not going to accept it because this is not what we want when it comes to Mortal Kombat. It's just not Mortal Kombat. The Legacy Collection, it's Mortal Kombat. It's exactly what we want when it comes to Mortal Kombat. We want simplicity when it comes to Mortal Kombat. That's all we want. We want buttons. We want special moves. We want our combos. We want our finishing moves. That's it. That's all Mortal Kombat is. That's all Mortal Kombat ever was. You feel what I'm saying? And NRS, they know it. They know it. Are they going to do it? We don't know. But that's the biggest answer right there, because like I said, it's been a lot of videos going around on how they can fix Mortal Kombat. It's really simple. Take it back to the traditional roots. And if that's not going to happen, it's just not going to get fixed. Plain and simple. And I'm going to tell you right now, if NRS comes with another stupid ass gimmick, we're going to get the same outcome. So right now, when it comes to the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, the Legacy Collection is the forefront leader right now when it comes to Mortal Kombat. Everything else is secondary. Mortal Kombat 13 or whatever they're working on, it's going to be secondary when it comes to this Legacy Collection, because this is what we want when it comes to Mortal Kombat.
I've been saying that for years, right? Like I said years ago, that if they ever brought out like these old games, right? Brought back Trilogy Gold, whatever the fuck, right? You know, home versions, that it's over. I don't give a shit what crap they pump out. You can pump out your, corporate.tm garbage, to the people that slurp that up, right? But having an official sort of capacity release of these games, especially the home versions, which most of us were playing, right? Because it was our only access, and I've said this before, our only access on a more permanent basis to these arcade games was whatever home port that we had, right? You get a lot of younger folk that grew up in a generation where they stopped doing arcade games, right? And they just started making games for the home systems, like in the PS2 era. But before that, we had to hope that, between all the way up, say, the Sega Saturn PS1, N64, we were hoping to get as close to an arcade port of whatever game we were interested in as possible. And going back further than that to the 16-bit era with Mega Drive and SNES, these were the systems that we spent most of our time playing MK on. This is how it was, right? There's a huge nostalgia. Like the first MK, I'll probably load up right? When I live stream, when it launches that night, it'll probably be MK1 or MK2 on the Mega Drive. It's not going to be the arcade, right? Because that's my memory. That's when I was a younger fellow. That's the stuff that really matters. So,
This is Mortal Kombat. Y'all gotta really think about this. Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. Just think Mortal Kombat, Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, or Mortal Kombat Trilogy. Enhance that in PlayStation 5 form. That's all you gotta do right there. It's that simple when it comes to Mortal Kombat. You just really gotta just close your eyes and think about what I'm saying when it comes to Mortal Kombat. That's all.
so with iBallistic, Joe over at iBallistic and stuff like that, they've done some sort of like we've seen some of the work that they've done with HD. If you go back to the very early videos on the channel, you'll actually see me covering quite a bit of their trilogy, sort of essentially their design. And people have been wanting HD remakes of the classic games for a long time, and that's pretty much it. You don't actually need to, like, if you, I mean, not to give them any sort of like corporate ideas here, but like if you wanted to really milk Mortal Kombat, you make HD versions of the classic games. You make it a 1-to-1, and I mean down to the fucking pixel flea dick hair sized 1-to-1 movement and combat. So that way, whether you're playing in HD format or traditional format, these games feel exactly the same as they would if they were in HD. It's as easy as that. You do it all the way through, right? You don't need to do the home versions naturally. You're just doing all the arcade versions, right? And then, of course, you would include Trilogy and Gold. That's it. And you can do a singular release of each one, right? Charge a small price, so it's cheap, you know, but hyper focus on making sure that each version is done perfectly, right? Or create a front end for it, so that way when you release the other ones, you'll have a front end that you go into, you can access all the different ones. Easy. Just money on the fucking table, right? Easy peasy.
All they gotta do with Mortal Kombat. To me, Mortal Kombat has always been that fighting game to where, yeah, it transcended, yes, it revolutionized, but at the same time, Mortal Kombat had to do very little. It was a game, it did not have to do a lot to push the boundary. You feel what I'm saying? And that's all that Mortal Kombat NRS really got to do. I feel like NRS is trying to push the boundary way too much when they don't. All they got to do is just give us the simple shit that they gave us in the past when it came to Midway, and they'll be fine. Just give us our special moves, our combos, our finishing moves, the story, and we good. Everything else, get it the fuck out. Flawless blocks, cameo system, all that shit, get it the fuck out. Mortal Kombat does not need it. Mortal Kombat does not need all of that shit that Street Fighter and Tekken need. That is what sets Mortal Kombat apart from the other fighting games. Mortal Kombat never needed all that extra crap. It still doesn't to this day. The Legacy Collection and these old Mortal Kombat games, they still hold up today because of the simple basic gameplay of it. Still holds up today. It's still going to be lots of fun despite what people say, and that's what people really need to pay attention to. You feel what I'm saying? Mortal Kombat has always been their game that didn't need all of that crap. It still don't.
I am curious. I am curious. Like I have this prevailing thought, right? That, you know, is the only tournaments that are going to come out of like the Legacy Collection are going to all hyper focus on like fucking Ultimate MK3 WaveNet and Trilogy. I really hope not. I really, really hope not. Because I'd like to see some tournaments in MK1 Mega Drive. Right? You know, just crazy shit like that. That's what I'd love to see. Because that'd be the first time that I would be playing against somebody in a 16-bit game that wasn't sitting next to me like 20 years ago. That'd be the first time in that long. Probably longer, actually. That'd be cool. And I really hope the community, like, because you know, just like any other fighting game community, they're all going to hyper focus on a couple of titles, you know, because that's going to bring in the views. They're going to hyper focus on than like guides and how to beat this and matchups and all this fucking stupid ass gay shit, right? And take away from the fucking joy that makes these games great to begin with. Which is why I said a while ago, there's a massive part of me that just wants to play these games offline and that's it, right? I don't have anything to prove here. I don't give a shit, right? I'm not a fucking world-class player anyway, right? But, you know, I don't want that toxic, like, oh, we're going to fucking, yeah, it's all about the money. We're going to have big money prizes and shit. Well, I'll tell you what we're doing over here, right? Because we talked about it. I know the boys want to run tournaments. And, you know, like, that's fine, I guess. But one of the prize ideas that came up from my head mod, Dragoon, was actually, and this is, so we're going to copyright this right now, just in case somebody decides to steal it. They won't steal it because it's not copyright, but we'll say it anyway. Is that you'll actually get a shirt for winning, right? We haven't figured out designs or something that will commemorate your win, not just fucking cash, right? Like giving away a fucking gift card. No, actual, like, something concrete that you can wear or have and go, this is when I won Mortal Kombat 2 Mega Drive. Shirt with your name on it, right? And the year. That's what I want. That's what I want. I want people to get excited about the trophy of it, not fucking cash giveaways. That shit, man. Anyway.
And until NRS realizes that, the NRS Mortal Kombat is not going to be never fixed. They can try to add on new stuff, but it's not going to be accepted by the community. And rightfully so. The community shouldn't accept this shit. Because, like I keep on saying, Mortal Kombat was a game. It had its own thing, its own concept going. And NRS tried to be like Street Fighter and Tekken. They just fucking Mortal Kombat up with this shit. They need to take all of that other stuff out and just give us the basic game. That's all they gotta do. Get that cameo system, flawless block, all of that shit. Get it out. Get it out. Give us the basic game. The basic game. That's all they need to do when it comes to Mortal Kombat. That's all they need to do when it comes to fixing Mortal Kombat. That's all they need to do. And until they do that, the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection is going to be the peak, the forefront when it comes to Mortal Kombat. I promise you that. Until then, the so-called NRS Mortal Kombat is always going to be trash. The community is not going to never accept it because NRS is keep giving us gimmick after gimmick, trying to be like Street Fighter and Tekken, and it's not working. And it's not going to work until NRS stops being dumb and goes back to the traditional roots. So that is what I had to come on here and say when it comes to the whole how can Mortal Kombat be fixed, the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, and answering the question that I answered on Twitter about is the Mortal Kombat community dead? The Midway Mortal Kombat community is alive. The NRS Mortal Kombat community is dead. The reason why the NRS Mortal Kombat community is dead because these NRS games are simply not Mortal Kombat. That's the reason why. And that's the honest to God truth. So the next time y'all
Well, they have no staying power. They don't have any staying power. You got fucking half of probably not half, probably more, South Americans that have been playing classic Mortal Kombat games since they first came out, right? That's where a lot of Mugans have been born out of, like Mugen games, because they have, you know, taken their love of MK and created even their own projects of what they'd love to see as their perfect MK game. Or just fun stuff, whatever they decide to do, right? And they've been doing that for like 20 years, give or take, right? So, you know, and then we got Fightcade, where we can play all of these games that are coming out in the Legacy Collection. By the way, yeah, all of them, and then some, including MK Gold. You can play on Fightcade, right? And they've been doing that for the longest time as well. And there's other places as well. There's Arcadesia, I think it's called, where you can play like PlayStation 1 games like Trilogy and stuff like that. You know, so the MK classic community has always been alive and well. It never went away. It's just that, you know, like it because like it gets either talked down about or shat on because they're old or whatever, and that's fine. Like it happens, I guess, with anything. But the thing is, though, that the community for classic MK has been around a lot longer, and it is a lot stronger, right? Yeah, of course you get dickheads and shit like that in every community, and there sure as shit are some in this one. But outside of that, you know, it's been a lot healthier community, a lot better community. But I'm trepidatious about the future. You know, like, you know, I don't want the NRS infection to come over and start affecting, you know, this thing. I really hope it doesn't.
Come on YouTube and come across a video saying how can they fix Mortal Kombat from an NRS standpoint, check this video right here, and I'm gonna tell y'all the real shit. They can't fix it. They can't fix it because we're not gonna accept it because it's not Mortal Kombat. So let me know what y'all think in the comments section below about the whole thing about the NRS and the Midway community. Do y'all believe it's two different communities? If so, which community are you a part of? Because it is two different type of communities, or else they wouldn't be making a legacy collection. You feel what I'm saying? Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to your boy for more of this real ass Mortal Kombat talk like y'all just witnessed. My name is Demetrius. I will get back at you in the next video. God bless. Stay safe. I am out. Peace.
So that's a good video. I'll post the link in the description for the video that you just watched, so you can go check it out and see all these other content. Yeah, no, that was a good video. Yeah, that was a good video. So but anyway, guys, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.